retraining. What do you need to be retrained to do? Because apparently it doesn't matter if you have a very skilled job, not a skilled job, manufacturing jobs, programming, software programming jobs, all going overseas. It's a confusing thing.
Okay, I don't think retraining has anything to do with it. I don't think education has anything to do with the kind of job losses that we're experiencing right now. This concept that Americans are not trained enough has been used to justify everything from visa abuse to outsourcing. It's absolutely about cheap labor. That's all it is. In reality, this country has some of the best universities. It has some of the best trained people. You asked me about my story. I'd actually like to tell you not only my story, but my younger brother's story. My little brother graduated from the top of his class at Yale University. President Bush actually handed him his diploma. Now, does President Bush want to give my little brother a job? Because my brother, as an engineering physicist, has been looking for work for the past several years. I myself graduated from New York University with a degree in physics and from Stevens Institute in Hoboken with a degree in engineering. I'm having trouble finding a job. It is not about retraining Americans, because if you look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they will tell you that there is something like 6.4% engineering unemployment in this country. If the problem really was a lack of skilled people, why are so many people unemployed? The reality is that corporations and labor economists who work for these corporations unfortunately put out this propaganda that Americans are just not smart enough and we just need to be better trained. But that's unfortunately not the case, and people like us don't get to speak enough about what we've been through. I would like to ask anyone who says that engineers or Americans need to be better trained, to tell me what more I could possibly do and what more my brother can do to get a job, because we'll be happy to do it.
U.S. Congressman Mark Scheller is fed up with U.S. trade practices with China. He claims thousands of American jobs are sacrificed when government contracts are lost overseas. As News 10's Megan Norman reports, one example he used to make his point comes from the United States Census.
Made in China is almost everywhere you look.
It's popping up in places where it shouldn't be.
And Congressman Mark Scheller believes it's these labels that are putting hardworking Americans out of work.
Enough of China taking advantage of our government contracts while locking their doors to American companies.
Case in point, the U.S. Census Bureau.
I fully support our census, but it's shameful that our tax dollars are being spent on promotional materials that were made in China, instead of being produced by American companies.
The loss of American jobs is a concern, and due in part to the international trade policy. But some economists say the problem starts at home.
The majority of the problems in terms of job losses that we face right now are due to the crisis of the financial markets from the fall of '08. And that was manufactured largely in Wall Street and in Washington. It didn't have anything to do with trade with China or with any other country.
U.S. exports total about $1.5 trillion every year, while its imports are close to $2 trillion. Charles Ballard blames the difference between the two, or the trade deficit, on overspending.
We've been on this unsustainable spending binge. That's really the source of this, much more than it is the trade policies of any other country.
But Scheller says until China can agree to a more open policy, the U.S. should shut its doors. In Jackson and Ingham counties, Megan Norman, News 10.
Next week, Congressman Scheller will be introducing legislation that calls for a stricter trade policy with China.
It was the turn of a group of young surfers from the US and Australia to take to the water to do what they could to stop the fishermen and draw attention to the slaughter. And this is what they don't want you to see. These pictures, taken by campaigners in previous seasons, show part of the largest annual slaughter of dolphins in the world. Most Japanese fishermen see nothing wrong in this and say dolphins should be treated like any other fish. A quiet determination to return to these shores again and finally end this slaughter. Peter Sharp, Sky News at Taichi in Japan.